very tough loss.
Yeah.
I am very depressed right now.
An Eagles win was all Cara Ripley wanted on her 30th birthday.
Definitely not the birthday gift I wanted.
So sad that some fans could barely keep it together.
We answered, I talked stuff, I thought we had it, but it goes to show you who's a better team, and I'm sticking Cowboys.
You're crying.
I'm hurt. I love my Eagles. I don't believe this.
I think we're going to come back. We're going to win a couple more games. I don't think it's going to be like last year. It's hard to win Super Bowl back-to-back.
You're going to flap the hat one more time for the Eagles for the hard fight they did?
Let's go Birds, fly, Eagles fly. Still Super Bowl chance for now.
All right, it is the One Star Cowboys podcast back with you for the Week 1 preview. Cowboys, Eagles, Thursday night. I'm Kevin Turner. Joining me as always, John Machota, Saad Youssef, and Kent Garrison. We got a lot of stuff that we're going to get to. In fact, new contract extension to discuss, maybe some more Micah Parsons fallout, injuries, our picks, everything you need to know. I do want to get this on the table for all of you listening, though. We do have some big news coming soon, as we're going to be partnering with a company called Haymaker, which is a new sports video network right here in Dallas, Fort Worth. And we're going to be going full video in the coming weeks. So that's coming down the pike. We'll get to that when it's time, but we'll let you know more when we launch. But for right now, you can follow at Haymaker Network on Twitter, X, and Instagram and all that stuff. So coming to your eyes and ears this football season, and it's going to be a really fun partnership with Haymaker, and you'll get to see our beautiful faces. So how about that? Let's start off with the DaRon Bland contract extension. John, I read your article on it, but I would like to see if you guys have any hot thoughts on the DaRon Bland extension.
Yeah, I mean, my very first thought, I mean, we can get into the numbers, but my very first thought is, man, this has got a feel of like right before the season when the Ezekiel Elliott contract gets done and they get these contracts done with Jalen Smith and Lyle Collins. I guess the only difference, though, in that comparison is that in this scenario, Zeke got traded. So that would be the only thing different there. But you look back on that time and none of those contracts really worked out. You know, certainly not Zeke, certainly not Lyle Collins, certainly not Jalen Smith. And so we'll see with Micah, but DaRon Bland, it's a 4-year deal, $92 million, but really over 5 years, it's around 98. So you're looking at like a deal that's probably right around $20 million a year, $19 to $20 million a year. And if he plays at a high level, then I have no issue with it, you know, but that's the thing. As long as he stays healthy and he's playing well, I have no problem with that contract because he is a good guy amongst, you know, with the teammates and good, you know, lead by example guy, not really much of a talker, keeps to himself, but he can do a lot of different things with his versatility to go inside and then play on the outside. So I see a lot of value with him. And then the other part of it is that Trayvon Diggs, you know, not recently, but a couple years ago, signed a contract extension, and they can kind of get out of that one. If this season doesn't go well for Trayvon Diggs, I see them getting out of that one next offseason. And so you could be, while it looks like, oh, they got Bland and Diggs locked up, they very well could be going into next offseason still looking for another starting corner. Kyer Elam's in the last year of his rookie deal, so he's not signed beyond this year. And then Savon Ravel, you expect to have him some point this season and certainly going into next year, but you probably will still need another corner if Diggs doesn't play really well. Just as an update, Diggs said today in the locker room, we're recording on Monday, he did say that he thinks there's a 75 to 80% chance that he plays Thursday night. So we'll see there. He was a full go in practice, so that's a good sign. But I didn't really have a problem with the Bland deal because they really didn't drag out. They got it done, and I think he's a pretty good player.
Yeah, I think the way that I look at deals, especially at these type of positions, really any position, to be honest with you, is I look at it as a position investment more than just a player. And if I've said all along, I really do think that Trayvon Diggs is going to be, they're going to be out of the Trayvon deal after this year. And then you're looking at DaRon Bland being your high paid corner, and then Ravel being on a rookie contract for the next 3 years after this season. and then you're shopping for another guy, whether that's re-upping Elam if he looks good or whatever the case may be. But I think if you're paying Diggs and Bland for the remainder of their contracts, it's pretty heavy on the cornerback position, in my opinion. I don't know if I would put that much investment. I just don't really believe that they're both going to be playing on that deal, because remember, DaRon Bland's contract is an extension. So this year he's not playing on this deal. This is still a rookie deal, DaRon Bland, with a big Trayvon contract. And I think next year when his extension kicks in, I don't think Trayvon will be here.
Hey, real quick on that too, thinking because he's obviously a corner, and because we're talking so much about the cornerback position. So something that I'm writing for tomorrow, I mentioned about how, Jerry said, oh, don't rule us using out some of these picks potentially on this current team, which I have ruled out. I don't think that they'll do a trade with either of the first round picks that they got in the Micah Parsons trade. But it did get me to sit there and go, okay, let's be in a magical world here where they did use one of those picks. What position? And I think a lot of people, at least from what I've read on Twitter, seem to suggest defensive end. And I don't feel that at all. That's not even, I think that they're fine with what they have at defensive end. Of course, it's not as good as Micah Parsons, but I think that they're just fine going with the 5 guys they have right now. I think corner is in play. The first 2 positions that jumped out to me when I started going down the roster were cornerback and running back. And obviously you wouldn't be using a first round pick to add a running back, but if you were going to potentially do a deal, let's say before the trade deadline, if running back is just, there's nobody that's got really any juice, it's not really getting anywhere, that could potentially be a spot. But those are the only 2. I wonder what you guys think.
Yeah, the defensive tackle always jumps out, but it's not like something that they would ever do. Corner absolutely makes sense. It feels like there's been many years where cornerback was on the table, at least. In fact, the year they got Micah, we were talking about Surtain. We were talking about J.C. Horn. The year that we got Leighton Vander Esch, we were nearly going around the Adoree Jackson path, around that time. So it is something they've always considered. One thing I think about is, because you can combine all these things together a little bit. I mean, if you look now that this deal is done with Bland, I can't get mad at them for, getting ahead of something. This deal might look really good, but when you pull up, just the cornerbacks and here's what they make and here's what they do, you start looking through there, and the Cowboys have 2 guys in the top 10 on that list of highest paid players at the cornerback position. And what's one position that I would say that we're kind of like, because cornerback, it's not like some position where we're going to be effing dominant at cornerback this year. And they have 2 of the top, highest paid guys there. And that's where the Trayvon Diggs thing does make it highly complicated. I don't even think like there's a part of this that's so annoying to me, because the job that Trayvon Diggs needs to go do is go play well. And the job that the front office does, they need to do that better. And when they chose to run over Trayvon Diggs at the beginning of camp, there's probably a reason for that. And I understand that it could make sense to get out of his contract next year. It benefits you and the team and everyone way more if he plays well this year and is on the team next year. And I feel like that's like the 5th option all of a sudden, and it shouldn't be. But I know we have feelings and egos and all kinds of stuff going around when it comes to that. But that's what has clouded up the cornerback position in next year. We could be talking about if Trayvon Diggs plays well, and John, again, re-reporting your news from earlier that he said 75 to 80% chance that he plays on Thursday night. If DaRon Bland and Trayvon Diggs play well this year, and then you get Ravel next year, even to kind of like he plays a little bit this year, but we're feeling good moving on with him next year, then like now we're talking. Like that's how you should be going about this, not it's this narrative that we all expect to happen. And it's like that Trayvon probably will be there after next year because it's gotten messy. That's all.
Yeah. And not to speak Jerry language here right now, but this is kind of where, when you look at the defensive end position, the guys that are there, Ezraku, Nealand, those are on rookie contracts for the foreseeable future. Sam Williams, he's not going to break the bank, even if he does have a good year. And if you want to keep him, Dante Fowler is a veteran. You can get that type of player in free agency for that type of money. So, when they talk about the pie and stuff, again, I hate to parrot that sentiment, but with Micah not being there with that big money, you put yourself in a position where if Trayvon just absolutely lights out, balls out this next year, you can carry 2 cornerbacks that heavy, because where else are you putting that money on defense right now? I will say the safety position is coming up for them right now. We've last few years, we've kind of settled in on Malik Hooker and Donovan Wilson. Those contracts are coming up in the next 2 years, next year, the year after that. So they'll have to address that position a little bit. But other than that, I mean, linebacker Overshown's not going nowhere. Leofau is going to be there. So you're pretty much set financially with low-cost guys everywhere else on defense. So you can afford to have both of those guys.
KT, I don't know if you're going to like this or not, but just because you've been bringing up Diggs and potentially playing on a different team next year, he said today that he's talked to Micah every day since the trade. And I wasn't there for this part, but I guess he also said that he was over Micah's house after the trade last Thursday to celebrate with him and the family. And then, so they're obviously still super close. But then the very last question when we were done talking to him was, as Micah talked about you joining him in Green Bay in the near future, and he just laughed, but he laughed in a way, and it was a lengthy laugh, in that it's clearly been talked about. So I don't know how that fits. I don't know how the pie fits in Green Bay with you owners up there, but
Yeah.
it's obviously it's pretty safe to say it's been discussed between those two guys.
Well, let me just tell you that a big question mark on Green Bay is the cornerback position. And I don't know that Trayvon Diggs would be the way to solve that or whatever. I don't know. But again, we're talking about a 26-year-old dude who is homegrown talent, who you've always liked here. We draft and develop. And just whatever happened, he got hurt. You were unhappy with the way he dealt with it the first time. You're unhappy with the way he dealt with it the second time. And now we're getting mad again. And then it's like, okay, there's a lot of emotional things that need to go out the door right now. And that's just not, that's not a good soap opera.
Is
it'd be
Bland
a boring
year?
Young and the Restless would be terrible if there was no emotions involved. If everyone just went out for a nice date, came home, and then realized that the ex-wife was there, but she's just stopped by to say hi. She didn't stop by to do damage at the place. I've never seen an episode of Young and the Restless, but I assume that's how the soap operas work.
What if DaRon Bland's the highest paid defensive player on the team next year? And with Micah being traded, and I mean, you paid Dak, you paid CD, you've paid Jake Ferguson. I anticipate that their next big contract will be Tyler Smith. I mean, it just this thing just keeps going in cycles with the Cowboys. Like the money that they have invested on the offense compared down the defense.
Yeah.
Like this was the chance with Micah to where it would even out a little bit more. But it looks like we'll be, and then obviously the head coaches are Jason Garrett, offensive guy, Mike McCarthy, Brian Schottenheimer. Like it's just pretty obvious the direction.
Yeah, one more thing I'll say, KT, on the DaRon Bland thing is I really like him as a cornerback. If you take the price tag off of it and you're not comparing him to a contract and stuff, he's a guy that he's a good teammate, like John said. He leads by example. He'll step up and make a tackle. He'll play in the slot, play outside. He's pretty durable other than, the freak injury thing and the setback that happened last year. I mean, for the most part, he's been there. I do like him overall as a player. That's why I don't have a huge problem with the contract either. It's just now he's not going to be measured up to a rookie deal. So expectations are higher, but I do like him as a player.
Yeah, I do too. And the ability, if something were to happen in a pinch, you can go play, really anywhere, nickel or outside, or in the slot or outside. So helpful. I agree. Like I see that, and while I can't let all of it escape my brain that this is this is a nice thing to drop after the Micah trade, but we've been begging them to go get stuff done early. And I know this has been talked about for a while with him and Tyler Smith and all that stuff, but it's I'm not gonna be mad at them when they get something done early. You look at the, the contract sheet and you go, okay, so he's after Pat Surtain on highest paid corners. Okay. Yeah, probably a little bit lower, but fine. Also young and still a lot of room for growth there. So,
I don't know where, the way I look at it is, okay, so what did you think that he wasn't going somewhere for 15?
Yeah.
It was going to be in that, $17 to $20 million range. And like I said, over 5 years, it kind of, because if you count, it's a 4-year extension you count this year, then it is one of those things where, it ends up being around 19 million if you factor in this season as well. And so I don't know. And I do think that obviously, just like most positions, cornerback, the money will keep going up. So I don't see it being a big issue, but I don't know. It's the Cowboys, so everyone's got opinion.
No, I'm happy with it for sure. Let's move on to more Micah fallout. Obviously, Dak spoke on it. CD spoke on it. We're just after being got the Labor Day weekend to kind of get through it all, process, because I always think it's interesting to see how your mind attacks these things. It happens. There's 24 hours and there's a million takes, and then you kind of get into your life for a minute. Where's everyone at on this? Are you guys in the same place you were the other day, or has anything changed over the last few days?
Yeah, I'm really upset. I just haven't been able to sleep. Oh, you mean like for the team?
You know what's been burned into my head?
Okay.
Is over the years doing this podcast, and you talking about, man, the moment the Cowboys took the lead to becoming a team to win 12 wins 3 years in a row.
Yeah.
Starts and ends with Micah Parsons being on the team. You said that so many times over the years, and I was like, yeah. And then it's just weird to think. For me, it's still having the wild realization that he's gone is very strange.
Well, I look at it just from a very basic perspective of the Cowboys, like I have known them. I mean, the entire 15 years covering the team, you knew that investments were there on offense, but it was always like, okay, but the defense leaves a lot to be desired. We got a roll of duct tape over here, some Windex, a Jeremy Mincy, and a Nick Hayden, and we'll throw in a Barry Church, and we're going to somehow maybe get a year out of Rolando McClain, and we're going to get this thing done type defense. And so to get a guy like Micah, I just thought that was kind of the game-changing piece. But this is unfair what I'm about to say, but I'll say it anyway. Hopefully everybody takes this in the right context. Just being around the facility the last few days, I don't get this big, there's literally two people that I feel like if you just take yourself back to, just put yourself in his parameters. I'm trying to word this thing correctly and not box myself into something incorrectly. When Jerry talks about talking to management, the coaching staff, and players about potentially doing, Micah's future or whatever, however the discussion, whether we're talking about trades, Micah, whatever the contract, I've just found myself like, okay, who was really pounding the table that you can't let Micah go? And today, up to this point, I only have two people that I've come across that I think, okay, they probably were. And that's Trayvon Diggs, which is one of his best friends. Mm-hmm. And it certainly seemed like CeeDee Lamb today when we talked to him. Yeah. Outside of that, I'm not saying anybody else. There's not like I talked to everybody. I'm not saying anybody else didn't go to bat for him. I'm not saying anybody else was adamant he must leave. But if there's this sentiment that people think that like everybody is just distraught in the locker room, like how do we move forward? I mean, Saad, you're in there. Have you really gotten that feeling? I mean, today in the locker room, I felt like I was trying to transcribe some stuff that CD said outside on the podium, and I got a duck because they're playing garbage can basketball over here and ping pong over there, and some other people are having a conversation and laughing over there. Like, it is not like this, oh my God, the gloom in the locker room. Like, they don't know how, you know what I'm saying? And I understand. I don't think Cowboys fans are like that either. So I almost want to take the Cowboys and Cowboys fans out of it. And I guess why I'm even saying this is just stuff I've heard nationally, and seen and read from people that aren't around, and the way they just act like this is literally like DeMarcus Ware, like entering his prime, I don't know. Mike is great. Don't get me wrong. I just don't get the sense that it's as catastrophic as some people might think. It could very easily prove to be that. But I'm saying, as we sit here 2 days before the season opener, I'm confident that everyone's going to board the plane and be in Philadelphia Thursday night.
Yeah, I think John has 7 times longer daily experience covering the Cowboys than I do. But I remember last year being in Atlanta when Dak got hurt, and it felt like a funeral at times in some corners of the locker room. And just walking the hallway with Dak, everyone kind of knew it was a serious injury. I don't know if everyone knew it was a season ender. I was in the locker room the other day, and it was not like that. Like, it was not that feel. Like, Again, not saying everyone's super happy that Micah's gone. It's not a demoralized room or anything like that. So,
Hey, it's a good comp,
yeah.
I think, Sad. And I'm not comparing these two gentlemen. Again, let's state this for the record. I'm being very clear here. I'm not comparing these two. But I bet you in the moments right after the Niners traded Charles Haley, I find it very hard to believe that there was a lot of people that were like, oh my God, we lost Haley. How are we going to move forward? Like, just judging off of everything I've read and heard about, his time as a player. And obviously that hurt them, when they went and played the Cowboys in the NFC Championship game. And obviously that was a big thing for the Cowboys. So maybe that's what it does for the Packers. And hey, if Micah helps win them a Super Bowl, we can go back to all this. And the Cowboys are winning 7, 8, 9 games. We'll all revisit it. I can only present to you what I've seen so far. I feel very similar talking about this as when I've been asked a billion times about, so what do you think of Schottenheimer? It's like without them playing the game, I only got like 6 weeks of training camp and then obviously OTAs, minicamp, a few other things that I've been around him and things like that to, like I said, I'll learn a lot more in that first half against the Eagles. And I've probably learned in the last 5 or 6 weeks about this Cowboys team because they've done such a good job keeping everything hidden. So, hey, it might be great, and it might end up proving that the pass rush is just garbage, and this was a huge mistake. I'm just telling you where things stand right now. I just don't get the sense that it's this, season's over before it even started.
Yeah, KT, to answer your question for me, I feel very similar to what I did a couple of days ago. I think I think the process was an albatross. Like, I think it was terrible. But the bottom line in terms of what they got there, like, it's not some inconceivable. I know on the podcast that we discussed the trade, we compared it, in terms of the Luka trade. I still don't think it's anything like that. I think the process of how it got there was super unnecessarily messy. The shots at the agent, the interviews, and all that kind of stuff. Micah doing what he did on his end, laying on the table. Just everything about how we got there was super unnecessary and super messy. Don't like it at all. Also, bottom line, John has mentioned this to me plenty of times before about just, how much you tolerate from a player. And we use always Dez as kind of like the example of that. I would have re-signed Micah. I think the Cowboys are better with Micah Parsons here. No doubt about it. I still feel that way. But again, it's not some jaw-dropping, how dare you. If you were trying to get out of the Micah business, I could understand why. I still don't think it had to go down like the way it did.
There aren't many players that I feel like are untradeable. Like, if I have a big issue, because I agree with everything Saad said, like, from the whole perspective of who they traded him to and how little they got back. Those are my biggest criticism. Also waiting as long as they did and not just getting this done before training camp, before the draft, to even go this long. Obviously, they could have done a lot better. But the takes on, you just never trade one of these pass rusher. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. Believe me. There's plenty of things that happen behind the scenes that you can trade anybody. They're like Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen. There's probably maybe 3 or 4 other players that I'd be like, well, you just can't trade that player no matter what. I just don't put Mike in that category. I'm sorry.
No,
you need to get more, but I don't put him in that category.
I think it's like a frustration with the inability to maximize your assets in a salary cap world. Like, that's so important. And for them to not maximize him, although maybe they did, maybe that is the most they could have got for him. I don't know. We don't know what the trade offers were. We think it probably wasn't. We have pretty good idea that maybe you get this on the table earlier, then maybe you can get a little more. Like, their inability to maximize assets is very frustrating.
Yeah.
And it's been that way for a while now. And that part's, aside, I guess where I'm at on this is like, I have fell into the way of, clearly we can't judge this until we look at all these draft picks and what they are. We do that with every draft, though. Does it make sense for the Cowboys where they're at right now to have 3 guys taking up 52 to 55% of the salary cap? It probably doesn't. And why doesn't it make sense? Well, because of how much you're paying Dak. And that ain't Dak's fault. And I know people are quick to go jump on Dak. It ain't Dak's fault he went and got all that money. All right.
It's still, okay, Dak on a deal. Dak on, like, if you're like, damn, he did the team a solid. That's still 52, 53.
Yeah.
He never was taking 50. So just stop with that. Okay. At 52, 53 to me is the basement on what you would have been like, damn, that was, you did the team a solid or something like that if you want to go down that road or whatever. So even on 52, 53, we'll say 53. So that's 7,000 or 7 million less, 7,000. What are we talking about? Our everyday salaries? No. So 7 million less.
100.
So if you do that, I don't think that all of a sudden is just like, okay, well then that's where you pay Micah Parsons off $7 million.
Yeah.
That might cost you like another Dante Fowler or something like that. But also this is the Dallas Cowboys. We don't even know that 7 million is used on anything. You know what I'm saying? Like it very easily. Like he takes 53 and you're just like, it's the very exact same roster, everything today. Nobody should be or would be surprised by that.
There's why 7 million. I'm glad that's the number. As I was thinking about defensive tackle TJ Slayton signed a 2-year, $14 million deal with the Bengals. He was the number one kind of run stopping defensive tackle. So okay, there's where the $7 million could go. Remember when the Cowboys spent a lot of money at defensive tackle? No, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't. They just don't do that.
Let's look up. Let's do this on the fly here. What do you think 7 million gets you in? Let's see, average per year. That would put you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So the top 16 highest paid running backs all make north of 7. But I just think if you had 7 laying around, you find an extra couple mil or so off of, I don't know, some extra jersey sales, and you got a better running back situation than you have right now.
Yeah. That's, I don't know. That's whatever. it's
real quick, just to kind of piggyback on the point real quick about how, because I know I don't know about you guys, but I've seen a lot about you just can't trade a player like this. Growing up, for me, Randy Moss is probably the greatest receiver of my generation. At that time, he was traded twice in his prime, from the Vikings to the Raiders, and from the Raiders to the Patriots. And Terrell Owens was traded. They attempted to trade him, I think, from the 49ers. And then things fell through and he signed with the Eagles. Point is, those are probably two of the greatest players at the position in that generation, and both were traded after their first teams in their prime. So point is, there's reasons why. I'm not saying Micah fits the bill for all the baggage that came with T.O. and Randy Moss. Definitely not saying that. Point is, there's always reasons why some things like that can't happen.
The one comp I will say to the Luka deal is that they both go to situations where it's not hard for you to imagine it going very well for the teams they're with. You know what I'm saying? Like, Green Bay is such a good spot for someone like him because everything's already there, a setup. It's really a no-nonsense organization, opposite in so many ways of the Cowboys, and they're set up to win right away. And the Lakers aren't as in good of a position, but they're the Lakers, and you just know some moves will be made to help out Luka. And so it's like they're both put in these great situations, as opposed to if you traded a player to the Raiders or to the Clippers, there was a part of you where you're just like, I can see this thing not working out. But when you trade them to someone, you're just like, nah, I'm going to be hearing about a lot. This is going to be on the radar quite a bit over the next few years, isn't this? Yep. Okay.
Well, I would say that because like basketball is way different because you can see Luka going and winning a series.
Micah Parsons, a basketball player, could definitely be one that takes a barely making the playoffs to all of a sudden now they're in the finals. But that's because there's only 5 guys on the court compared to 22 for football. So, yeah.
Well, this is where I'm glad we did this because this is where I put this on all my notes here because I wanted to get to this. Because I was thinking about a few takes I've seen. And, it's fine because we're going off just like, emotions and everything. But a few takes is, well, what about, Micah disappearing in the playoffs? And very quickly, I've been thinking about what the Packers have, and this will transition eventually into what the Eagles have on defense right now. Do you know how easy it is to spend your resources to take him out of a game when that's what you have is Micah? Because if you're scheming the Dallas Cowboys, we can go back to 2023, whatever. You're scheming the Dallas Cowboys. It starts and ends at Micah. And, maybe we got to worry about DeMarcus Lawrence. Like what the Packers and the Eagles now have 4, 5, 6 guys who you can easily go. And this is my KT's 5-man theory. and I'll save it in case I have a better name later. Looking at who we have this week, well, let's talk about what Micah has, first of all. Micah is Rashawn Gary, Lucas Van Ness, who has not been good yet, but Lucas Van Ness is a top 15 pick. Adrian Cooper is a second-round pick. Quay Walker was a first-round pick, and Xavier McKinney on the back end. I just quickly named 6 guys who can be difference makers on an NFL defense. And you can kind of start doing that with the Eagles. With the Cowboys, even with Micah, boy, you start kind of farting around before you get to like the 5th guy. And you start kind of going,
I was thinking
here.
3, but okay.
Well, I know, and that's why it's the 5-man theory.
I guess, like, for you to say even 5, I'm just like, you must be living in this magical world where there aren't injuries.
No, I'm saying
if there's no
the Cowboys,
injuries,
who are you taking? Who are you worried about?
If there's no injuries,
yeah,
I would be worried. I don't know if I should say worried, but I can see a world, especially with the way the changes that Eberflus is making up front. I can see Osa Digizua being a guy like that.
Yeah.
I can't name one defensive end from the team, but by the season's end, one of them will emerge to the level where we will say that about. And that's regardless if they win 5 games or 11. Like I right now, as I sit here today, I think it'll be Azaraku. I think that he steps in. I think he will have the biggest, impact. I think at the end of the year, we'll look at him as like, oh, well, they're real solid with him at one of the spots, but we don't know who that is yet. But I'd say Osa. And then I said, if they're healthy, I think at least out of Bland or Diggs, you feel confident there. And then DeMarvion Overshown would be the other one.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm done.
Yeah. What about you, son?
I ditto exactly. I think it's those guys. In previous years, if you're looking at it, I would probably put DeMarcus Lawrence, Jordan Lewis, maybe on a good day, into that category, possibly. But yeah, they're not too much.
Fun game, real quick. I need you guys to tell me. I'm going to read off a couple of sentences. I need you guys to come up with your best guess on who's being talked about here. Trayvon Diggs being asked about Micah Parsons and basically just how he was received in the locker room. And I quote Trayvon Diggs, "I think everyone liked him. I feel like there were some players, former players, who are not here no more. There was a lot, I would say, of hate, jealousy, envy towards him because of who he is and the production he does on the field. Imagine if you come in here and you take somebody's shine or you're taking somebody's spot. You're not going to like that. They're going to feel a type of way, especially if you're that type of person. Me personally, I never got no bad anything from him." He goes on to praise Micah. Which player do you think he was talking about?
I think it's very clearly DeMarcus Lawrence.
Yeah.
He said that today at the locker, and I was like, I can't even think of a second possible option.
Yeah.
We play the Seahawks this year.
Literally, I'm picturing in my head like this cartoon of like, no, like DeMarcus walking up. No, you're here now. We're the hot boys. And then Mike's like, I'm way above that. We're not allowed to. We're whatever I want us to be. I'm the most talented player on this team. And he's like, no, we're the hot boys. And then it's just back and forth. It also made me think of that time where that video of some guys mic'd up surfaced from that Micah's rookie minicamp, and DeMarcus Lawrence was like, "Oh damn, Rook, you rushed the passer like that." And I was like, that's when the switch turned, and it was
beautiful.
Like, oh shit, okay. I didn't know we had somebody like this. I thought you were an off the ball linebacker. What were you doing at Penn State?
Well, this will actually start our kind of looking at the Eagles a little bit, because it's pretty easy to name 5 names that concern you on the Eagles defense, or that you're having to spend a little extra attention on. You can start wherever you want there, but Jalen Carter, clearly, Nolan Smith, Zach Bond, Cooper DeJean. I'm going to leave someone out because I'm just listing names right now, but that is like that. That's something that I just thought about. Like, I don't want to see the take Micah disappears in the playoffs when you got a small sample size. And my God, I just can't imagine if you were scheming the Cowboys in those years. You're like, well, we know we can run on them, and we also know that we need to take Micah Parsons out of the game. Okay, what else? Like, it's and it's not like I'm not being disrespectful to the other players. I just like it's not as loaded. Micah's going to a loaded situation on defense right now, and the Eagles are pretty loaded as well. And we've been dealing with that for a long time.
I think it's good. I don't think it's that crazy. I think their offense is incredible. I don't think that their defense. I don't think their defense like that. Really, like Jalen Carter's a dog. He's their Micah Parsons. Everything starts and everything with him. I mean, he is everything that whatever. He deserves all the credit. But like, I don't know. I don't look at Nolan Smith like that. And Zach Bond had a really good year last year. I think Jahad Campbell could be whatever, a really good player, but like Blankenship and like Quinyon Mitchell had a good rookie year, but there's also times where I was like, I mean, he's a first round pick, so he's good, but I don't know that I don't know.
Well,
He's not. They're not J.C. Horn. Certainly not Patrick Surtain level for me. I don't think. Maybe Horn, but they're not. It's not Surtain. We're just like, oh well, they got those corners and those defensive back. Like I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy, but I fully expect the Cowboys to throw the football on them. If they can keep Jalen Carter off of Dak, I feel very confident that they'll throw the football on him. Probably still lose by 2 touchdowns, but they'll be able to throw the football around.
Yeah, it kind of ties into the other side, KT, because you're talking about the Eagles defense. But for me, it really comes down to both of the edges for the Cowboys on offense, how Terrence Steele is going to play and how Tyler Guyton, if he does, or Nate Thomas, whoever is in there. To me, it's both of the edges. As long as that's upright, I feel like it's good on good. It's not, again, not disrespecting the Eagles defense, but I think the Cowboys, you have to also recognize like CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens and Dak, and I think they'll be fine in that. The one thing that, Schottenheimer has talked about a lot about throughout training camp and going into the season is about how they haven't shown a lot. And I just want to say one thing that's going to be semi-annoying a little bit if they come out of this game and they went down a touchdown or two quick, because I swear we heard this with Mike McCarthy last year for the first 8 weeks, was that, well, the score is why we weren't able to run the ball, do what we want, things like that. And that's fine. I understand situational football, but they need to get out and do their thing and make sure they're controlling their game. Because after the game, like if they have a really bad offensive showing or something, which I do not expect them to, but if they do, I don't really want to hear about how the game didn't let them. Like they need to take control of that.
I mean, I could see them having no success running the football at all. I'm just saying, like, I could see them in that scenario you're talking about, Saad, getting down a couple scores and they're forced to throw. And almost like, like we saw a ton on Saturday in those college football games when teams are behind, you start spreading everybody out, you start throwing the ball all over the place. Like, I can see them moving the ball through the air. Again, not thinking that they're winning, but I'm saying, like, it's not a point where I'm just like, I don't know how they're going to even score points against this defense. It shouldn't be like that. And honestly, if it is, there should be some criticism of that was shoddy. There's two Schottenheimer potential mistakes that it was funny because Clarence Hill and I were just talking about this. I was asking him, I was like, what do you think could be the potential biggest mistakes up to this point? Because I don't think there's many that you can really point to Schottenheimer, including how he's handled this Micah situation. Like, I think he's done a great job with it, as good as you can do. But like Clarence mentioned, them not playing any of these guys in the preseason, trying to hide everything, that is a good example of something that. And then obviously the really young coaching staff that was hired, a lot of inexperience there from the college ranks. Those are the two things that if it is real ugly, that will be brought up, no question, because it wasn't just not showing stuff in training camp, in the preseason by not playing these guys, but even training camp, Schottenheimer talked about how they were keeping stuff back. It's like, okay, well, you're going to pull it out of the bag, fresh and new, off the Ford Center field, and just you think it's going to work against defending Super Bowl champs? All right, well, we're going to find out. We'll see. It might, but it also might take 2 or 3 quarters to get it going,
Yeah. Well, let's go just for the fun of it, since we're not going off like previous games yet, right here off the top here. If we just ran down position by position. Okay. Well, here's a good, this one would get some eyes on first take or whatever. Quarterback. You have to take the 2-time Super Bowl winner, right? But I tell you what, if my team's down or needs to move the ball down the field, I kind of would take Dak. As a thrower, I would take Dak over Jalen Hurts all day.
Well, I mean, if you're taking Jalen Hurts,
taking
Jalen Hurts because you're saying the Super Bowl thing, so you got that as you're going off of what happened last year there. You can also make the argument back that, well, we're not talking about Super Bowl. We're talking about the Eagles versus the Cowboys, and Dak has played pretty well against the Eagles. So, there's that too. But yeah, no, I mean, Jalen's coming off of Super Bowl MVP. Like it would be hard to go against him, but my God, to start that way, that is 100% some type of a first take argument right there for sure.
Having fun because we know where running backs are going, so you might as well. Did I get sympathy points for the Cowboys and Dak here? What would you say, Saad? Dak or Hurts? This is the debate everyone was wanting to watch this year.
I would say Jalen Hurts, but I think we're about to get the answer on Dak. In terms of, I know he's played with a good stable of receivers before, Cooper, Gallup when he was good, and CD and all that. But the parallels are hard to miss now with AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, George Pickens, CD Lamb. You're in that stage of your career where almost where Tony Romo was in 2014, where he was like, yeah, I'm seeing the game a lot better now, all this stuff. Like, there's just no excuses at this point. So I think we'll get our answer on how good Dak can measure up. I'll go Jalen Hurts right now.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing is like you have to wipe out Dak getting hurt too and put all that in there. I don't even know what to say. Dak.
Yeah,
and,
you also, with Hurts, you also got to factor in the value of him with the brotherly shove.
The tush push is
he's obviously good at it. We can't sit here and act like just anybody can do that. You know, I mean, I used to think it was all because of Kelsey, and then he's gone, and they're still doing it with a lot of success. So,
and the other thing for me on that is like Jalen Hurts was at a point like last year where Kellen Moore made the decision. You know what? Let's just try to not throw the ball. Like it was. Here's what we're gonna do, and that's when they started to really play well, and then go on a run, and then he was able to make plays on stuff. Playing from ahead, I mean, Jalen Hurts, I think is what you want. Playing from behind, I think I need Dak. And, game theory may take us to that, direction. Dak playing from behind a little bit. Running back, we know what the answer is there. Although I am so fascinated in the good old fashioned rule of 370. The guy who gets a bunch of touches, how does he respond from it? This feels like one of the superhumans that would defy the old rule of 370. Like an Adrian Peterson would. But I am interested in just kind of following what's the case study here. What is the year like for Saquon Barkley? Well, it turns out the Eagles have a great offensive line, so it's probably going to be pretty good. And they'll probably make some decisions along the way to say, oh, look, we still have A.J. Dillon on our team now. Oh, there's Will Shipley. Remember him? He can get some carries. I don't know.
Used to share the backfield in Clemson, South Carolina with Phil Maffa.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Exciting times.
Where's Phil Maffa, by the way? Is he practice squadding? Where are we?
He is practice squadding.
All right. Good for Phil. Wide receivers.
It's the only spot I would take the Cowboys. It's pretty cut and dry for me on that.
Yeah.
Everything else is the Eagles.
Oh.
Yeah, I think list by list, I think I would take the Cowboys. Other than, like, you can talk to me maybe about the number one, and there are two different type of receivers, AJ Brown, CeeDee Lamb. But if you're just lining up the depth charts, I think I take Pickens over Devontae and CeeDee over AJ Brown. At the number 3 spot, it's just the Eagles don't have that great of a player, and the Cowboys don't either. But the Cowboys have some mystery there, so. If Kevontae Turpin or somebody just pops off or something, I'm giving them the benefit there.
It would be great if Ferguson could turn into the next Dallas Goedert. We'd appreciate that.
I think when you have Saquon Barkley, you don't have to worry about your third receiver. I don't think that it even has to come up. I mean, they're solid at tight end, and they have 2 really good perimeter receivers. Like, you really don't need to get to whatever John Mechie. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Sure.
You got Saquon Barkley. You should be leaning on him big time. Also, your quarterback can run.
I am interested in what they're going to do. I mean, obviously, I'm interested in both offenses, what they're going to do, because Shoddy, this is your job. Remember this? It's the number one thing I want to manage him on, or I want to judge him off of, is based off play calling and eventually game management and all that stuff too. The Eagles have a new offensive coordinator. One of Nick Sirianni's old drinking buddies, I would assume. Nick Patullo is his name. But he's one of his boys from back in Indianapolis. So, well, maybe some wrinkles on offense for the Eagles. Maybe a little bit different there. Vic Fangio, still defensive coordinator. I enjoyed that piece in The Athletic that talked about a big poll that was taken on best defensive play callers. And you did get Vic Fangio running away at number 1 on that list. That's why you should also subscribe to The Athletic. So So I don't know. We can get to picks here, and I'm branching out picks this year, guys. We're gonna do 3 games a week, and we're gonna go against the spread this year because I want to. So it'll be fun. But 7.5 is the line. Is anyone bold enough to have the Dallas Cowboys going in to the Liberty City on ring night and banner night and upsetting the defending champions? Who's going to do it? John, you get the first crack at it. Dallas minus 7.5.
No. Eagles
Dallas plus 7.5, I guess.
Yeah, no, not even 7.5. I think the Eagles win by at least 2 touchdowns. I think they get up early. I don't know if they even trail in this game. So no, I think it'll be one of those where we look at where the Cowboys probably start off a little rusty and then they get better as the game goes on. Lose something like 34-20, 34-17, something like that. But there'll be little nuggets of, hey, they'll be better or whatever. And Philly is just, that most of that team is all back. They just won a Super Bowl. Like, I think they hit the ground running. So no, the line, I don't even understand why it's 7.5. Like after the Micah Parsons trade, the thing should have shot up to 10 immediately.
Well, 10. Saad?
Yeah, it's tough because the Cowboys sometimes can be really good at that garbage time stuff. It's always really funny to look back on that Green Bay game in 2020, like that playoff game a few years ago, because the scoreboard looks so much prettier than what it actually was. But no, I'm still taking the Eagles. I think the Eagles win by at least 10, but yeah, who knows?
Yeah, what was it, like 48-16 midway through the fourth quarter? I feel like the only reason I even know that is because that's how I always write it, because I'm like, I am not writing 48-32. We're not doing this. Yeah. But it'll be one of those late things, like when Romo would always just check down to Witten and it would just like slowly matriculate down the field. It would be just Dak throwing 7-yard outs to Jake Ferguson while CD and Pickens are 30 yards down the field and they're just like moving the sticks. You're like, guys, you're down 3 touchdowns. This is not going to get it done. No, but we will only lose by 14.
But a positive note going into the Giants game.
Feeling good.
Kent, where are you at? Eagles minus 7.5.
I actually have the Cowboys covering.
Oh, yeah.
So I have it as Philadelphia 27, Cowboys 20.
Ooh.
Welcome. I love it. Dallas plus 7.5 for Kent. I'll take Philly as well. I just don't trust it right now. I wish I did. Question though on the not playing starters thing. Does Shoddy have the say there, or do you think there's maybe handed down from up top? Like, hey, we're not going to play our starters in preseason.
No, that could be a factor for sure. I could, much like my thinking on how I said how many podcasts ago and wrote the same thing. Like, even when the things didn't look good, those first 2 preseason games, I was like, I don't know what world people are living in. I think that Joe Milton's not going to be the backup. Jerry's not spending any more money on a backup quarterback after he gave Dak $60 million. Just because Cooper Rush performed well, we're not going to act like he wasn't the backup, partly because he was, low budget, like very affordable backup quarterback. And so I think that, somewhere down the line, we'll find out for sure that the Micah Parsons trade is probably because of how things went on some of these previous contracts, Ezekiel Elliott, some of these other ones. Like I think some of that past stuff, Jerry almost like overcorrects. I think that you can say that about the Cowboys a lot. The running back position in general, look how they've overcorrected that. They went and used a 4th-round pick on Zeke, and then I was like, no. Not only would not use a high-round pick, we're not going to use any good picks on these things. We're not going to spend any money on running back. We're going to go to the very lowest part. And so because of that, I feel like you can always factor that in with Jerry, that there could be this far correction the other way. And so anyway, the reason I'm rambling on is to say, since that Romo injury in 2016, I've always, in the preseason game against Seattle, I've always thought that Jerry's like, I don't want to see the franchise quarterback out there, especially when they're getting the big money. That's why we haven't seen Dak since like 2019, since he's basically been paid, like you're not going to really see that. So that could be a factor. And then if just with that one move alone, if the owner and general manager is telling you, well, Dak's not playing these, I could see you being Schottenheimer and going, well, why would I show any of my stuff while Joe Milton is thrown to CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. I might as well not play CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. And if I'm not playing them, do I need to see Javonte Williams out there? Do I need to see Tyler Smith? And all of a sudden, it just goes down, whatever. But then also, they'll never say this publicly. What if they already just chalk the Eagles game up as a loss? And that's like their first preseason game. Like, if they're like, if we go in there and win, that would be crazy. But we don't have to really show anything up till then.
It sounds like something that an NFL team would not do. But
what about the Cowboys? Oh, they're an NFL team too. My bad. Sorry.
I mean, look, the Patriots used to kind of do that back in the day during the Brady Belichick thing. September would basically be their preseason. They really didn't care what they did in those first 3-4 games, and it
they
showed
had such faith.
I know they did.
I will always believe that Bill threw a game against the Lions when Patricia was the coach. Maybe that's because it was early in the year, but maybe it's because it's his buddy. I don't know. I have a pretty good sample size that Matt Patricia can't coach an NFL team, and he looked amazing in one game, and it was against the Patriots in September. So I don't know. I'm just using simple math over here. You guys can do whatever you want with it.
Okay, I'm taking, by the way, guys, Philly minus 7.5. Saad, we'll start with you here. Green Bay, Detroit. Green Bay 2.5 point favorites.
At Detroit?
At Green Bay. With probably limited Micah Parsons.
All right, give me Green Bay.
Green Bay minus 2.5.
Yeah.
Kent?
Green Bay.
I'll take Detroit. We have
You're
to.
just doing that because you're a Packers fan.
Yeah, for the exact same reason.
That's what everyone's going to say.
Yep. Oh, I can tell you right now, that's exactly what I'm doing.
The Packers actually start off really slow.
I can tell you, I'll be watching I'll be watching the game with my face painted Honolulu blue and silver, but I will be picking the Packers. No, I'm just kidding. I just think the Packers, the Micah thing, like even with him coming in on a pitch count, yeah, it'll be at the moments when you need him out there the most. Like, you really care if you're just like, 1st and 10 and they're handing the ball off to David Montgomery at the 25. You don't care about having Mike out there, but when it matters most, he's going to be out there.
Sure.
And I think he's going to make a big impact. So, yeah, give me the Packers.
Minus 2.5.
Yeah, they'll definitely cover that. I think they probably win by a touchdown.
Okay.
It is a good time, though, to play in Green Bay, though. That was always the thing growing up when you looked at a Lions schedule.
Yeah.
Like, when did they play Green Bay?
Yeah. I think they do Thanksgiving again this year.
I told you I was at that 16th loss. Did I tell you that before? I drove to that 16th when they went 0-16. It was in Green Bay.
Beautiful.
It was in December. Oh, just an
Yes.
absolute 2008, I think. Yeah.
Dude, and you celebrated, I bet. We went 0-16.
It was so disappointing.
History forever.
Yeah, me, Orlovsky, Galvin.
Last game, Marinelli, right?
Marinelli. Oh, yeah. Ernie Sims.
Last one here. Let's start with you, Kent. Buffalo, Baltimore, the Sunday night game. Very good. Buffalo -1. In Buffalo. Hey, good time to go to Buffalo, too. Buffalo -1. I'm going to take Balt for the upset, just because I like Lamar better than I like Josh Allen. John.
Yeah, it's the regular season. Give me Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens.
Balt +1. Saad.
Give me the Ravens.
Balt +1. All right, 3 picks are in. Anything else we need to hit on before we get on out of here from a football standpoint?
Football players play football in football season.
Should be clear we're recording this
a
little earlier in the week, so
make sure I like to just go ahead and scroll through the old Twitter timeline to make sure I'm not forgetting anything from the day to share with the group. I can tell you this right now. Don't expect many notable quotes on today is what you would call a Thursday in the NFL world for the Dallas Cowboys because they play on Thursday.
Yeah.
So it's a typical what would be a Thursday when you were playing on Sunday. So Thursdays will be the day now when we get the coordinators. That had used to be Monday. This is not going to be a lot of quote-worthy stuff. Let's just put it that way.
Eberflus pretty straight to the point.
Pretty not willing to give very much. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes. I also don't love Thursdays because it's kind of one of those things where, if stuff happens in the game, you're really going to let me go ahead and put this in my back pocket and ask the coach about it next Thursday when they're on to the Bills or something. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not like it's that great. Plus, with the way it's been, I'm just kind of like, man, wish these were on Mondays. So when I fly back late on Monday, that I wouldn't feel like I was really missing out on too much. But I'll be there Thursdays for the coordinators. For all your questions, tweet them to me.
Well, we will be back after the game on Thursday. We'll have our recap. Things will, I won't say change a little bit. Well, I should say change. They will be changing a little bit in the future. We have some big news coming soon, partnering with the company Haymaker, which is a new sports video network right here in DFW. We'll be going full video in the coming weeks, and it's going to look real nice. We'll let you know more when we launch. For right now, though, if you follow at Haymaker Network on Twitter or Instagram, at Haymaker Network, you can kind of have that already, and that would help us too. But this will be coming to your eyes and ears very soon in the football season, and we'll be telling you more about that once it started. We've been kind of teasing it a little bit. But just want to let you know, you'll be able to see us. We'll be able to add some video elements to our podcast as well. Won't affect the audio podcast at all either, though. Still be coming out as always. Make sure you give us a follow on Instagram as well, at One Star Cowboys Pod. Follow John and Sod over at The Athletic, doing the work, getting you ramped up for Thursday night's big game. And, of course, Kent Garrison. I'm doing that Mad About Movies podcast. Probably going to tell you, just give you the upper hand on the movies you need to see. Until next time, which will be Thursday night late. I'm Kevin for John, Sod, and Kent. We'll see you next time on the One Star Cowboys podcast.